Afternoon, everyone. Um, Sitting here as a facilitator, I was honestly sitting and thinking, wow, I came very unprepared. um, but okay, everyone has got pretty much everyone's presentation touched on the history of AI, what it's about, how it interacts, and how it works. So I would just like to give a very short presentation on how the ICT team or how SEAT as a department is actually engaging with, if I can say, AI. How we are supporting staff members who come up. For example, I think Carmen was one of them earlier this year, who came to us and said, "Listen, I'm not too sure on what's going on here, but I need assistance. I think this was a student's attempt at using AI or cheating." So this presentation just very briefly touches on what the C department has been doing, but also rest assured that we are not stopping here. So it's not to say like this is, this is all that we're doing. We are constantly engaging with staff members, getting feedback, getting responses as to what new has come up on your side, what have you seen, what have you encountered, and even things like sitting on YouTube, sitting on TikTok, believe it or not, um, where you find, oh, this is a new AI website that does this. This is the new website that uses AI to generate human-like responses to assessment questions. Okay, so from the C department, or rather within the ICT team, Farid and myself are the facilitators, and Mr. Fundile Nkunge is our manager. And as of the start of this year, we have been trialing a software known as CopyLeaks, um, which we found to be just a smidge, if I can put it that way, better than Turnitin in terms of detecting, if I can say, AI text generators or text generated by artificial intelligence, for example, websites, applications, and as well as doing things like Turnitin does in terms of a similarity report. The reason we've opted to go with CopyLeaks is Turnitin at the time did not have an AI detector. Firstly, secondly, it did not have the optical character recognition, OCR, which is actually another cheating attempt that we've noticed students have used in the past, and it has been making a comeback where students are uh, taking screenshots of paragraphs and phrases that they find online, pasting or inserting those as images in the text. And I mean, to the user, to the human, we look at it and we say, "Oh, but that's just words. It's part of the text." But in actual fact, it's something that has been inserted there. It's a picture. And again, at the time, Turnitin's OCR feature was not yet available. So that is two of the biggest reasons CopyLeaks became if I can say, a thing at UWC. In addition to that, when Turnitin released the AI detector, we noted that it was and pretty much still is in the beta phase. So what Farid and I did, we asked ChatGPT to generate um, a very short paragraph on global warming. We then submitted both. We submitted that exact paragraph to both Turnitin as well as CopyLeaks. CopyLeaks actually came back and told us, I think it was the next slide. Okay, this was actually on ICTs. My apologies. But yeah, pretty much the same thing. CopyLeaks came back by telling us that there was actually a 71.3% match in terms of, firstly, copied work, uh, similarity with work found online, but also it did identify a very high chunk of the work, or a very large chunk of the work, as being generated by a AI text generator, which we can see at the bottom of the on the second screenshot. All the text identified or highlighted in red was the ones that CopyLeaks picked up as being generated by AI text, whereas Turnitin came back with 10 or 20%, and it picked up some of the work that CopyLeaks did not even highlight. So some of the work that we actually typed in. It has been improving ever so slightly. and we are constantly testing it out, monitoring the changes, monitoring, the similarities or the differences rather between what CopyLeaks is showing and what Turnitin is showing. And then also something that we've been doing is actually giving feedback to the company. So we've been in constant communication with not only CopyLeaks but also with Turnitin, giving them feedback from ourselves, our own testing, our own trial and error, from people in our department if they would like to also, throw their hat in the ring with regard to testing it, and then also staff members at the university who have started using these platforms. Um, their feedback and responses as to has it been working for you? How well do you think it is working? What do you think can be improved? I think all again relating to the case that Carmen mentioned earlier, there were issues we noted that CopyLeaks may not have had or did not have. Um, that's something that we always refer back to, or rather try and um, give feedback on, so to speak, to the developers of not only CopyLeaks but also Turnitin. So it's a non-stop process for us, much like everyone else. There's constant development, there's constant evolution with regard to not only the detection thereof, but also the methods of output. To be very frank, I've only ever heard of Quillbot, AI, ChatGPT, the various versions thereof, and maybe one or two. I had no idea. I think I've only heard of maybe the Ellipses one, or whichever one that was, Eclipse or Ellipses, one of those two. That was another apparent attempt at AI generating or AI assistance in terms of your submissions. But the rest of it, if that everyone else brought up, I genuinely had no idea on. So that's once again relating to the fact that we are constantly searching, we're constantly looking. If we find out about something, we see a video, we go back and we watch or we do research and just try and figure out, what's the next best thing, what's possibly coming up, so that when we get a question from our staff members, we don't sit, tongue tied, fingers, thumbs twiddling. We don't know what to do. We try our best to be on top of it, be, at the best of our abilities, just so that when people come to us and say, "Listen, I need help with this," we try our best to give an answer. Okay, so that was copy leaks. Then moving over back to our good old faithful Turnitin. Um, Turnitin is still being used at the university. As I mentioned, it is, if I can say, it does have an AI detector or AI text detector. However, mm, not as good as CopyLeaks. And I'm okay. I refer back to the two of them, Turnitin and CopyLeaks, because that's what's available on campus. However, there are a few others as well that is freely available on the internet, um, or rather free to use for, I think it's like maybe a month or so, like a trial version. Thereafter, you have to pay. But at the university, Turnitin and CopyLeaks is the two biggest um, packages that we have to identify AI, to identify attempts at cheating. And one of the questions we've gotten more recently is why both? It purely depends on what you need it for. So if you need something to look at what, has the student cheated or attempted to cheat using AI, CopyLeaks is your go-to. And then if you need something, for example, that's a bit more interactive between yourself and your students, to leave feedback, to give some, assistance here and there, then Turnitin would be the go-to. Um, as we know that the Turnitin has its, if I can say, student peer review option or student peer review tool, whereas CopyLeaks unfortunately does not have that option, or rather that option is not available at the university as yet. So yeah, that's why we've actually opted to go with both. Um, then, as we can see, this is the example of a Turnitin report. It was something that, okay, oh yeah. Oh, I see. Juliet Stoltenkamp, our director, actually submitted. They over on the, if I can say, the the right side of the screen, give or take. We do have a little AI detector bar. As we can see, it shows nothing, meaning it did not detect any AI within the submission. And well, our director was the person who actually wrote this report or this document. In other cases where if I did it myself, actually wrote out something that we thought of and then submitted, Turnitin came back with false positives. So that is actually part of the reason why we decided to, instead of keeping one chucking the other, have both just as a point of reference, and also just to see, are there any improvements? Is there something Turnitin is identifying that CopyLeaks isn't? Are there reasons why? What could be the reasons why? And then also, as I mentioned earlier, just to give feedback and help improve these systems as best as we can. Thank you all so much. I really hope that the session was that our or that my presentation was informative. If you do have any questions, if you would like to attend any of our training sessions, or if you see something and would like to say something, drop us an email, please. We really would appreciate it. Thank you all so much for attending. And back over to, I think, Marina.